Welcome back. Shocking new numbers from the border. Border Patrol Chief Jason Owen writing this on X. Over 52,000 special interest aliens were apprehended by Border Patrol just since October 1st. Almost 90% of those encounters happening in the San Diego sector. Joining me now is Missouri Congressman and member of the House Oversight Committee, Eric Burlison. Congressman, thanks very much for being here this morning. I know you posted this on X, quote, Joe Biden and Secretary Mayorkas let a wanted murderer into our country. That wanted murderer went on to stab his girlfriend and her 4-year-old daughter to death in the United States. Biden's border crisis is endangering Americans every day. And now we've got, Congressman, these numbers of all of these special interest aliens being apprehended. Tell us what a special interest alien is, Congressman.
Yeah, these are individuals that have got criminal activity. They've got criminal records from other nations that they're coming from. They could also be someone who's on a terror watch list. But at the end of the day, what's really startling is the overall number. Over 2 million known gotaways, people that we have no idea who they were, but we know that they came across the border, and they clearly didn't want to go through our Customs and Border Patrol because they probably knew that they had a criminal record, or they had some background. So I would say that 50,000 number is just the tip of the iceberg.
I mean, do you have any idea why this administration has this wide open border, why they have allowed America to be in such a vulnerable position with all of these encounters of potential terrorists and all these unknowns about who many of these people are? We don't know what their motivations are.
It really puzzles me, Maria, because I can't understand why they would want to undermine their base. For a long time, labor unions were supportive of the Democratic Party. They were a core pillar for Democratic for that party, and all of this illegal immigration is completely undermining blue collar workers, our labor forces in the United States. And I would think that the labor unions, and I think the polls indicate labor unions are waking up and seeing that the party and this president is not interested in benefiting them.
Well, part of the issue, according to some of your colleagues, is that they think they want these people to ultimately become voters. Do you find that illegals are going to be voting in American elections?
Yeah, there's even been some Democrats that have said the quiet part out loud, that they want to see more, they don't want to stop the flow of illegal immigrants because they're able to count those people in their census, and they don't want to lose their congressional district. Right. So I think that's step one. Step two would be what you're seeing blatantly happen in cities like Washington, D.C., where they are allowing them, where they're allowing illegal immigrants to actually vote, which is crazy.
Crazy, illegal. Can you do anything to stop it?
On the federal level, we can certainly restrict funding. We can use the power of the purse.
Have you done that?
To try to stop anything. We just passed a resolution in the House decrying the Washington, D.C., because we do have control, particularly Oversight Committee has control over the city of Washington, and we have sent that. We've been successful in the past, even under the Biden administration, of forcing them to reverse some of their policies, particularly when it comes to softening their crime laws.
Yeah, I mean, if you are expecting the Democrats to try to, in some way, get illegals to vote in the upcoming election, I would expect you would be doing something about it, correct?
Yeah, there are a lot of efforts and there's a lot of bills that are out there that our members are trying to get passed and put on the president's desk. Unfortunately, I doubt that he's going to sign them. At the end of the day, the only thing that's going to save us is to elect President Donald J. Trump.
Well, he's in a courtroom all day and has been for 6 weeks. Jurors in the former president's so-called hush money trial, a New York trial, will return to court this morning. They'll deliberate for a second day. The judge yesterday told jurors that they do not need to agree on a specific secondary crime that Trump committed. Whatever crime it is, it is. You don't have to agree, despite needing to reach a unanimous verdict on all 34 counts. A lot of questionable things here in this trial. Meanwhile, President Trump is urging the New York Court of Appeals to expedite its review of his gag order, which bars him from talking about anybody involved in the case, including witnesses. Senator J.D. Vance demanding a criminal investigation into Judge Merchan over his enforcement of gag orders against the former president during the trial. Congressman, you were in court with Trump last week. What did you learn? What can you share?
Yeah, what I saw was, it was a very boring day. So any talk about someone falling asleep in that courtroom, I can fully understand. Most of it's not exactly very exciting, but throughout the entire day, anytime that the prosecutors would object to anything, the judge would side with the prosecutors every time. I think in that entire day, I only heard one time that the judge sided with the defense. And so it was clear to me that it's a one-sided courtroom. I hope that it's clear to the jury. And the fact that this judge is saying that the jury doesn't have to prove an underlying crime, or that Trump was trying to avoid an underlying crime, is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. The entire case is built upon that. Otherwise, they wouldn't even be in that courtroom. It would have exhausted the statute of limitations.
Well, that's all extraordinary, and yet they're getting away with it, I guess.
I guess he's getting away with it for now.
Yeah, Todd, real quick, go ahead.
J.D. Vance demanding a criminal investigation. With separations of power notwithstanding, what can you do in Congress, in the House of Representatives, to look into Judge Merchan and the way this case has been run?
Yeah, I think that the Judiciary Committee has the authority to do that, and I would hope that Jim Jordan and the folks on the Judiciary Committee are able to pull them in. There's an entire subcommittee for the weaponization of government, and hopefully that committee is addressing this as well.
Congressman, we'll be watching all of that. Thanks very much for being here this morning.
Thank you. Anytime.
All right. Congressman Burlison joining us. Stay with us.